Speaker, in proving ground number one, in terms of violation of the Constitution on national unity, I did provide evidence that the Deputy President has been using the shareholder language, has been terming the Kenya government as a company. And as much as those words offend the Constitution, similarly, they offend the national. Serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the ground is about serious reasons to believe. So all you need is to believe. All you need is to believe that he has committed crimes. All you need in law is to believe that Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes. That is the threshold. If in your mind you believe that Rigathi Gachagua, by the narration that I'm going to give, has committed crimes, then you vote in the affirmative. Serious reasons to believe that Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under sections 45, 1A, 46 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, and sections 2, 3, 4, 7 of the Proceeds of Crime and Money Laundering Act. And Mr. Speaker, our allegation here is that the Deputy President, in the last 2 years, has amassed wealth that during the short period that I was able to do research, totals to about 5.2 billion, which is inconsistent with his known sources of income and with his last declaration of income. Mr. Speaker, it will be remembered that during the presidential debate, the Deputy President did declare that he was worth 800 million. It is also known by virtue of the gazettements by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission that he earns $1 million or thereabout per month, and therefore he needs to show where he got the money to amass these properties. The import of my allegation is twofold. Number one, there is what we call unexplained assets under the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act. And number two, there is money laundering. Mr. Speaker, in my motion, I have listed a total of 22 companies that I believe the Deputy President has been using, number one, to amass, to award himself through conflict of interest, businesses in his office and in government. And number two, to purchase properties using unexplained sources of income. Mr. Speaker, it will be remembered that yesterday during the televised interview, the Deputy President went through all the companies and they did not deny that either of them belongs to him. All he did was to say that he registered some of them before he became Deputy President. I am not interested in the time that the companies were registered. I am interested in what the companies have done in the last 2 years. And I will demonstrate that these companies have actually done. I have listed a number of properties that the Deputy President has purchased within the 2 years that he has been in office. I have listed Treetops Hotel in Nyeri. I have listed Olive Gardens Hotel. I have listed Queensgate Serviced Apartments. I have listed Wamunyoro Investments land in Embakasi. I have listed the Aberdare Treetops Hotel, Outspan Hotel, Olive Gardens Hotel, and the Vipingo Beach Resort. Mr. Speaker, you will be told by the defense that some of the properties that I've listed do not belong to Rigathi Gachagua, but they belong to the estate of Nderitu Gachagua. Mr. Speaker, as you listen, please know that this man is not fond of telling the truth. And I will prove to you, and I want you to listen to me very carefully, that Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, it is true that he was one of the administrators of the estate of his late brother. It is easy to hide under the dead because the dead cannot come to give evidence. But also, there are documents. I have with me the joint will executors report on the status of the estate of Nderitu Gachagua as at 27th June 2024. This is a valid document that is part of our bundle of documents, and that also I have seen is part of the documents that came through public participation. And in this document, what the Deputy President has not told Kenyans, and listen to me, because the Deputy President actually committed another crime yesterday, misleading Kenyans. What the Deputy President has not told Kenyans is that in those 2 years, he is the one who has bought the properties of his own brother through coercion. And I am not interested, I have no problem with people owning property. What I have a problem with, and this is what he needs to be explaining to us, where did you get the money to buy these properties? This is the big question. This is a big question. Mr. Speaker, you will be told that when I became Deputy President, I transferred my companies to my 2 sons. And my 2 sons are the best entrepreneurs that Kenya has ever produced. They are the best investors that Kenya has ever produced. And one day they walked into a bank and they got a loan of 600 million. Mr. Speaker, I have looked at the ID numbers of the 2 sons, and I can confirm that they are in their early 30s. I want Kenyans, Gen Zs, you were in the streets. I want Kenyans to tell me which Kenyan, 23 years old, can walk into a bank. Where do you get the security to secure 600 million loan? I started by saying all you need to do is to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes. And buying properties worth 5.2 billion within a period of 2 years is not reason enough to believe that he has stolen from the Kenyan Republic. What else then will be a reason to believe? If a 28-year-old can be alleged to have walked into a bank and gotten a loan of 600 million, what else is a serious reason to believe that an economic crime has been done? Mr. Speaker, at page, shortly, Mr. Speaker, I have therefore proven that the Deputy President indeed is the one who bought through coercion the estate of his late brother. The source of funds to buy the estate is not known. Also in my bundle of documents, Mr. Speaker, there is a company called Crystal, and this is a very interesting company. This company called Crystal is the one that bought Aberdare Safari Hotel. And I have exhibited at page 122 of my bundle of documents a transfer document transferring the ownership of Aberdare Safari Hotel from the original owners to the children of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua at a consideration of 535 million. And this transfer, Mr. Speaker, was done on the 22nd November 2023, immediately after the Deputy President assuming office, and telling Kenyans that he found empty coffers. He was able, within 2 months, to buy a property worth 535 million in Nyeri. Which empty coffers did he find? The other day, I have exhibited at page 118 the CR12 of the new company, which shows that his 2 sons are the directors. I have also exhibited the transfer document to show that actually the ownership of the company did shift at a cost of 535 million. And therefore, I believe I have discharged my burden of proof to the required standard. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the Deputy President said immediately became Deputy President, he asked his children not to do business with government. But you will realize, because he's speaking from both sides of his mouth, you will realize that even in this transaction about hotels, Treetops belongs to Kenya Wildlife Service. Yes, it is true he has leased. But if you say that you have instructed your children not to transact with government, and then you lease an hotel owned by the government, are you not transacting with government? Are you not transacting with government? And therefore, the live interview by the Deputy President yesterday is a further ground for the Deputy President to be impeached. I can go on and on and on to show that the Deputy President did purchase Kuruwitu Home Resort at a cost of 250 million from the estate of his own brother. Mr. Speaker, you were told also that Vipingo Ridge Hotel is a property within the estate of the late brother to the Deputy President. But I have exhibited in my bundle of documents, CR12. CR12 is a document that shows the company directors, showing the children of the Deputy President as directors of Vipingo Hotels. The children of the Deputy President are not listed in the will as executors of his estate. So one would wonder, because they are not listed as executors of the estate of Nderitu Gachagua, then where do they come in terms of owning the Vipingo company? It can only be by way of purchase. It can only be by way of money laundering. Mr. Speaker, one other reason why I have provided the 20-something companies and the properties is also to demonstrate character. Some of these companies have not transacted. It is my prosecution theory that these are special purpose vehicles for purposes of money laundering and for purposes of preparation for money laundering. And therefore, one would wonder why the Deputy President would have so many companies that are not active, except for the reason of waiting for a prime day for them to launder resources from government. Mr. Speaker, I have also listed many companies and suspicious transactions where companies were being paid as much as 100 million from the office of the Deputy President. They are paid in the morning, and at noon, they are withdrawing the money in cash. You are aware that under our regulations, you cannot withdraw more than 1 million shillings from the bank. But I have listed in schedules where in a singular day, as many as 10 transactions, cash transactions, were being done from monies that had been paid from the office of the Deputy President. These are serious reasons to believe that the monies were being withdrawn for suspicious reasons. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I believe I have discharged my burden of proof, and this ground is proven beyond the required threshold, and it should be confirmed as a ground of impeachment. Mr. Speaker, allow me to proceed to ground number 8. Ground number 8 is about breach of Section 132 of the Penal Code and breach of Section 129 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. Basically, these are about misleading the public. Mr. Speaker, on this one, I rely on the evidence of the video in the case of Justice Esther Maina, that the Deputy President did mislead the public that Justice Esther Maina was corrupt, simply because she had made a finding that was against him. Mr. Speaker, I also rely on a video that I'm going to play shortly, that the Deputy President did attack the National Intelligence Service in a televised television interview in Mombasa. Mr. Speaker, in that televised interview, and you will see it shortly, the Deputy President misled the Kenyan Republic on several accounts, which I will discuss after the video has been played. I now request the media team to play the video on NIS in Mombasa.
Where did the rain begin to beat us? Where did we stop listening to the people? President William Ruto and I were the darling of the Kenyan people. By listening to them, by engaging them. And as a government, we have established institutions to ensure we not only listen to Kenyans, but also genuinely understand their concerns. We invest significant resources in these institutions particularly the National Intelligence Service, for this purpose. It is clear there has been a failure in the intelligence and advice we are receiving, particularly concerning crucial government policies. The President of the Republic of Kenya today has admitted that it has come to his attention that the people of Kenya did not want anything to do with the Finance Bill 2024. The President has now agreed that we need to listen to the people. And I sympathize with my boss, President William Ruto, because this information was not available to him. I know President William Ruto. Had he known 2 months ago that the people of Kenya did not want anything to do with the Finance Bill 2024, he would not have asked his parliamentary party to push it through. Yet, we have an organization paid by the public to give him and government such information. And that is where the problem is. We have a dysfunctional National Intelligence Service that has exposed the President, the government, and the people of Kenya. Had the National Intelligence Service briefed the President 2 months ago about how the people of Kenya feel about the Finance Bill 2024, so many Kenyans would not have died. Property would not have been destroyed. Offices would not have been touched. There would have been no mayhem. But they slept on the job. It had to take people to die, property to be destroyed, protests across the country, proof of what the people of Kenya feel. Yet, there is an organization paid for by the public to brief the President and the government about the feeling of the Kenyan people.
With your permission, Mr. Speaker, I request that we pause the video.
Officers of the National...
We have already displayed the context. Mr. Speaker, the point I'm making here is simple. That this is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. By virtue of being the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, he is also a member of the National Security Council. The NIS is also in membership of the National Security Council. And therefore, the Constitution has provided fora where the Deputy President, in case he has any concerns, he can raise them within the official structures of government. Instead of doing that, he chose to be reckless, with complete disregard of the office, of the high calling of the office that he holds, the office of the Deputy President. It will be remembered that at this particular time, the country was at a security crisis, and inflammatory remarks would have led to the country disintegrating. Inflammatory remarks would have led to the social fabric of this country tearing apart. And therefore, by such doing, I am inviting the House to find that the Deputy President did mislead the public. The Deputy President did live below the expectations of the office that he holds, made unfounded, sensational statements, and therefore, that ground should be upheld for his impeachment. Mr. Speaker, further to that, in the oath of allegiance to office, the Deputy President swore, and I quote, to refrain from directly or indirectly revealing such matters as shall come to my knowledge in the discharge of my duties and committed to my secrecy. Mr. Speaker, as you would notice in that clip, the Deputy President says that he has been told in confidence. Mark the words, I have been told in confidence by officers of the following. And while aware that he took an oath not to divulge information that comes to him in secrecy, he went ahead and divulged that information. I will be inviting this House to find that the Deputy President breached his own oath of allegiance to office. And a person who breaches his own oath of allegiance to office is not fit to hold the office of the Deputy President. I therefore urge members to find that this ground has been proven to the required standard and uphold it for impeachment. Under ground 9, Mr. Speaker, on gross misconduct. Gross misconduct has been defined as the dereliction of duty in the Black's Law Dictionary. Gross misconduct has been defined as the dereliction of duty, unlawful or improper behavior. Mr. Speaker, we have alleged that the Deputy President did breach Article 151 in his utterances against the National Intelligence Service, and that is incompatible with the high calling, dignified status, and the discretion required of the office of the Deputy President. And because I had laid basis in the foregoing ground, I wish to urge members, using the same evidence that I've adduced above, to also find that ground number 10 is also proven. Ground number 9, that is. On ground number 10, gross misconduct on insubordination. We have the evidence of Mercy Wanjau in the form of an affidavit that Cabinet makes decisions and the Deputy President defies. I have video clips in Nyanza where the President did direct. In fact, he said it is primitive for people to say that certain sections of the country cannot receive development by virtue of how they voted in the last elections. And then immediately thereafter, the Deputy President repeated his shareholder Kenya government company utterances, directly contradicting the President. In that arrangement, Mr. Speaker, I am submitting that that is insubordination, and the evidence that we have tendered in the interest of time on record is enough to prove that ground, and members should be able to approve that the Deputy President, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, has been undermining his boss, has been undermining cabinet, and therefore is guilty of the offense of gross misconduct in terms of insubordination. Mr. Speaker, I come to a very interesting last one, which is that